I'm Nick Tarnowski, and I'm going to be talking a little bit today about my family history. On my dad's side of the family, I have both Polish and Czechoslovakian roots. So my paternal grandfather's father came over from Poland in the early 1900s, probably around 1908. And he lived in a very big family, and it was he was one of the older ones, one of the older children, and it was just kind of hard for his family to support him, so he thought that he could have a better life if he came over to America. My paternal grandmother, her family's from Czechoslovakia, and nobody really knows what year they came over. On my mom's side of the family, my grandpa is also from Czechoslovakia, and then my grandma is from the Philippines. My dad's paternal grandfather, he hardly spoke any English, and it was kind of hard for him to adapt. I know, that's what I've heard. So I imagine he's just kind of like a fish out of water, just experiencing a new world. It was kind of hard for him to hold down a job because just because it was hard for him to communicate. And then I know my grandma, she came over from the Philippines probably when she was about 18 or 19. She came over with my grandpa. And I know that life was rough for her, so I know it was probably like a fresh start, a new opportunity for her, the way she saw it, especially because she married my grandpa in the Philippines, and then they came over to America. So I definitely see that as kind of just kind of exciting for her. I would have to say I definitely look up to both my grandpas. My dad's dad, he actually did not go to high school. Growing up for him was rough, and in order to help support his family, he didn't have the opportunity to go to high school, and so he entered the workforce right out of 8th grade, and he was there all the way until he enlisted in the Korean War in the early 50s, 1951 I think it was. And then when he came back home, he worked as a meat cutter his whole life, and he's just, I just always see him as like the perfect example of just, living a hard life, but not making any excuses, not feeling sorry for himself, just making the most with what he has and being able to support and provide for his family. So my mom's dad, he was also a war veteran. He was in the Vietnam War, and then when he came back, he was a blue-collar guy, and he never made any excuses either. He worked hard to provide for his family, and he was never late for work, and he never missed a day of work in his 30 years in the workforce, which I always just found unbelievable. Yeah, I definitely think it'd be easier to push immigration reform if people would take a second to reflect on their own roots and realize that they are all immigrants in some sense, and that really all their ancestors, all they wanted to do was come over here and make the best for their family, start a new life, pursue different opportunities, and just overall have a better life for them and their posterity.